Welcome back, everyone, to Einstein's Eyes, where John and I reveal all related to ophthalmology, the fascinating world of health, medicine, and obviously eyes, which is why we are ophthalmologists. We train at Albert Einstein College of Medicine. I'm oculoplastics and formerly neuro-ophthalmology in Anchorage, Alaska. And John?
Hi, all. I'm a general ophthalmologist specializing in cornea and laser vision correction. My practice is in northern New Jersey, been there for 30 years. 30 years, wow. And then, Albert Einstein is where Carl and I met and trained, hence Einstein's Eyes. So welcome to our channel.
Right. Thanks, John. And thank you guys for being here. The interested. And we're going to unpack really one of the most widely used medications out there, prednisone, steroids. We're going to talk about what is it, how does it work, and most importantly, what does it mean for your eyes? Stick around while John and I share what we know, and hopefully it'll be helpful to you. So let's start with what is prednisone. And here's the box, prednisone. And this is typical of what lots of folks would take, and it can be taken orally, it can be taken intravenously, it can be taken subcutaneously. We do that for styes, although you got to be careful about skin thinning and color change, particularly with pigmented folks. There are gels, there are nasal sprays like Flonase, there are patches, suppositories. It can be given intramuscularly, but really most folks take it by mouth or orally. And prednisone is a synthetic corticosteroid. It's a man-made version of hormones, natural hormones in your body that are produced in your adrenal glands. It's designed to mimic cortisol, a hormone that helps control inflammation, regulate your immune system, and manage stress responses. Think of prednisone as the ultimate inflammation fighter. So let's look at how prednisone is made. Making prednisone is no easy feat. You know, the companies that do this form it in a lab, and it's formed from compounds like laiosgenin. Now, I'm not asking you to remember this or even spell it, but this is found in plants such as yams and soybeans. And through a complex chemical process, this compound is transformed into prednisone, which is the oral form of the steroid. And next time you take prednisone, you can think of the modern chemistry and the intersection of modern chemistry and plant power. So how many people take prednisone? Well, quite a few, as it turns out. The statistics are it's prescribed to millions of people every year. In the US alone, more than 5 million prescriptions are written annually. And why is it so popular? Because it's incredibly useful. It's versatile. It's used to treat a wide range of conditions, from autoimmune diseases like rheumatoid arthritis and lupus to asthma, allergies, and even cancers. In ophthalmology, we treat orbital pseudotumor, giant cell arteritis, ischemic optic neuropathy, and multiple sclerosis. It's also a go-to for preventing organ rejection for transplant patients. Are the side effects? So of course, like any powerful medication, prednisone comes with side effects and trade-offs. Common ones include weight gain, mood swings. The big one is blood pressure changes in your blood sugar. It can worsen diabetes. Long-term use, which is typically we think of more than 6 weeks, can lead to osteoporosis or bone loss and breakdown, or adrenal gland suppression. And short-term is really, we think of less than 2 weeks. And again, we do this a lot in ophthalmology for iritis, after cataract surgery, glaucoma surgery. It's really a great drug to keep the inflammation response to a minimum and help the healing process. Now we're going to get to really the meat of what John and I experience as ophthalmologists, which is the ocular side effects. And the two real big ones, or three real big ones, are prednisone. If you take prednisone, particularly we see this with asthmatics or people who use nasal sprays for rhinitis or allergies. long term, could be over years, they'll get cataracts called posterior subcapsular cataracts. This is a type of cataract, and John will speak to this. It looks like rock candy on the back of the lens when you use a slit lamp. Causes light to scatter, and it's very annoying, particularly when you're driving and you have oncoming headlights hit you. Now, there's also a group of people, a subset of people that respond to steroids by elevating their intraocular pressure. And they're called steroid responders. And that can be very dangerous, particularly if you don't check the intraocular pressure with a device that we have on our slit lamp, because you can lose your eyesight, your visual field forever if you don't know that your pressure is over 30 or 40 when you're using steroids, particularly steroid drops for iritis or uveitis. And then lastly, before I let John get on board here, is risk of infection. So it reduces inflammation, but it also kind of squashes the immune system from tackling organisms, bacteria, viruses, fungi, yeast as an immune defense mechanism. It kind of squashes that. So you always want to weigh the pros and cons and consider a strategic and tactical use of this medicine. So John, what do you think?
I mean, first of all, that was a great summary. I learned a lot, and it also refreshed my memory on a lot of things that we deal with. A couple of things I would echo. Number one, steroids are a miracle drug. I mean, before we had prednisone, there were people that had inflammatory problems in their body or their eye that we couldn't treat. They had arthritis. It just got worse and worse. Or they had inflammation in their eye that got worse and worse. Classic example was something like shingles, where you'd watch someone go blind and then steroids would prevent that from happening. Or even COVID, where people had such a significant inflammatory reaction to the infection that they actually became very ill. Some of them died. Some of them had a lot of problems. Once we started giving these people high dose steroids, it helped them really in their course. So can't emphasize enough what a great drug it is. On the other hand, it comes with definite risk. And that's what Carl and I really want to talk about. So as eye doctors, he nailed it. The three risks are increased risk of infection, elevated eye pressure, which is a specific type of steroid-related glaucoma, or cataracts. And I think typically what I'll tell people is, listen, those are the risks, but you need this medication. And in the body, just like Carl said, there's people that have developed hip fractures or actually needed hip surgery. They've developed avascular necrosis of their hip. They've developed diabetes, secondary diabetes, elevated blood pressure, all these different things that come with prednisone, but it's a necessary drug. Now, the great news that I would just add to this video is, in the last 20 years, what are we seeing? We see more and more medications that suppress the immune system that don't have significant side effects as prednisone. They still have side effects. Things like Imuran, Cytoxan, methotrexate, Plaquenil, hydroxychloroquine. Those are medications that are suppress the immune system, and they're meant to mimic prednisone, but without the significant morbidity and side effects. Me, for example, as an eye doctor, we will use prednisone even for dry eye. Prednisone is wonderful for dry eye, but what works similar to it, but not as well as a medication like Restasis. So Restasis is anti-inflammatory. It lowers the immune response in the eye, but it doesn't have all the side effects that prednisone has. So I think, Carl, you really nailed it. I think I tried to add some things just for food for thought, but that's prednisone in a nutshell.
Yeah, John, thanks a million there. So, we also use other drugs, and we do it in a dose-sparing way. For example, we'll use methotrexate with steroids so that we can lower the steroid dose and we can lower the methotrexate dose, but the two in combination act powerfully and get the job done. Also, we use non-steroidals, something like Acular or Voltaren or Clinaril or indomethacin. And these drugs don't have all the risks that the steroids do have. And we try to, again, we try to spare the dose. We try to reduce the dose by combining it with other medications. That is the steroids in particular. Some things that you can do to protect yourself or reduce possible side effects are, don't drink as much coffee, or maybe don't use coffee if you're on steroids, because it can raise your blood pressure. Some people talk about that. But really just keeping in touch with your ophthalmologist or, or your doctor, and being monitored routinely, having the eyes looked at routinely, checking your eye pressure, take it as prescribed. And again, ask about alternatives that may not have as many side effects, or may have not so much trade-offs. But really, prednisone is a life-saving medication for many. But, like other medications, it's all about balance. And you have to manage the benefits and the risks. Like we mentioned, if you're on prednisone, talk to your healthcare provider, your physician, your ophthalmologist. Understand it. We love smart people. We love people who are well informed. But I hope this helped. And Jon and I appreciate you being here. Please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching. And we'll see you on the next one. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.